Obviously, certifications are great, degrees are great. Companies look at those and they want those. But a certificate is only a piece of paper, and if you can't back it up, what really good is it? So get as much hands-on as you can if you want to get into the industry, whether it be security, development, anything, right? You got to just build that experience so that you have something to bring to the plate.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Simply Offensive. Today I'm joined by Aaron Colcough. Aaron's one of my coworkers at Suzu Labs, and it's pretty cool. We finally got to meet for the first time in person last week, worked together for about 6 months, but Aaron's got a pretty cool story and kind of interesting the area he comes from out of the military, because I don't really run into a lot of people that had that background commonly. So it'll be interesting to have him share his story. So welcome to the show.
Thanks, Phil. Glad to be here. Yeah, it was a great time. Last week? You coming out to Nadita and hanging out with the guys?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. That's one of the things too that can be a challenge with remote teams, not getting the opportunities to work together. Although I feel like for a virtual environment, we do a pretty good job.
Yeah, I've been from a virtual standpoint, I would say we do. But it was one of the nice things about being in Vegas, or Vegas being our hometown. From a company standpoint, is like all the good conventions and conferences tend to be right around this area, if not actually here. So we get good times to link up and kind of hang out.
Yeah, you got to do those type of activities and getting together, but pretty cool. I've worked in organizations before where we had Slack or Discord or whatever. Well, not Discord, but Slack or Teams or something, and people just really didn't speak unless they had to. So the team here, the cohesiveness is a lot better than what I've experienced in some remote teams.
Yeah, I've run into that problem a little bit too. So
yeah,
coming from the military, like it kind of gets a little crazy sometimes with the change in flow or having to meet people. But yeah, it was really good to get together.
So yeah, if you wouldn't mind kind of starting out by sharing your origin story, kind of how you started out up to what you're doing today.
Sure, absolutely. Mine's kind of a little bit probably different than most people you'd find in, a typical cybersecurity or tech, organization. Growing up, I did some techie stuff, not like too in depth though. So it was kind of new for me later on in life. I joined the Army a little late, 23, as an infantryman, really. I was with the 75th Ranger Regiment for 10 years. My primary job was a mortarman. So not really anything to do with tech or IT or anything like that at all from a professional standpoint. But it remained like an interest of mine through the whole time. And I kind of built on it over the years. And then at the 10-year mark, I was medically retired and kind of realized that I didn't really have a whole lot of marketable skills, from where I was coming from to kind of go out into the world. So as I was transitioning, I got into a couple different programs for like software development, some academies and things. One that was put on by Microsoft, in particular, the MSSA program, where they put you through basically a boot camp of 6 months of nonstop every day. That's your job, teaching you how to do software development, C#, ASP.NET. After graduating that, I was offered a position with a subcontractor for General Dynamics and started working with them, building applications for other, government and military organizations. So that kind of led me into, more of a secure development kind of style, and eventually brought me into contact with Mike Bell here at Suzu, back when it was kind of a fledgling, and we linked up and started working together. I was working with him, I started out just kind of pen testing, getting my feet wet outside of the development portion, and then building, on that time and time again, running all these pen tests and all these other little things. Started with vulnerability management, dark web intelligence, and things like that, and just started building up, my skills from that standpoint. I feel like it's a good story, kind of. I think for people coming out of the military that are truly wondering, how am I going to make it, in this new world? I didn't do any of this stuff while I was in. How am I going to be able to take care of my family when I get out?
Yeah, it's kind of it's that is interesting, and for the folks also too, just sometimes people just don't think they can do things, and then it seems like when it comes to pivoting into a career or getting serious about, technology or some other type of a career, you just really have to have the right mindset and be ready for it. Because for me, I tried pro wrestling and then had to have something more stable, and so I did all sorts of other jobs, and I was never really serious about it. Wasn't what when I graduated high school, I wasn't serious about going to school to learn, to get an education. So once I kinda got put out where, you know, I wasn't making that great of money and the kind of jobs I had weren't so great, it just was kind of a good motivator to go back and learn. So it seems like there's kind of points in your life that you just have to go through these things before you're ready to start learning and taking on something that's more challenging.
Absolutely. I'm a big, I say it all the time, necessity is the mother of all invention. Like you never know what you're capable of until you're actually put in a situation where there's no other choice. Like it's time to do something regardless of what the outcome might be.
So just out of curiosity, since, it wasn't directly tied to what you did in military, did that in any way kind of prepare you with the mindset to do something like offensive security?
Yeah, I would say so. Just I mean, from the basic standpoint of the process of how things work in the military, PCCs, PCIs, making sure everything's ready before you have to do a mission or anything like that. It all kind of translates into your engagements. So from a security standpoint, like if before I go into a pen test, I got to make sure I got to go through this whole list of things. Make sure that I have all my different accesses, all my different credentials. If we're doing credentialed stuff, what's the order of operations that I got going on? I got my own little op board kind of thing to get me through engagement. So it kind of, yeah, the discipline is definitely a carryover that truly helps. Um, but it also kind of breeds a mindset of being, like a go-getter. Like I'm trying to help these people. I don't want to be lackadaisical about it. I need to put in every bit of it, 110% all the time, and really get these people some help.
Kind of thinking on the back to the conversation earlier, teamwork, how did that help instill your sense of teamwork being in the military?
I guess from a team perspective, I look at teamwork as it's a group effort, right? And it's less about everyone should be responsible for like their own little piece. And not everybody's going to be the best at everything, but there should be someone on the team that fills that spot fairly well. That way you get always someone to get each other's back. It might not be the best each time, but it should be somewhat give and take.
So how was it transitioning to pen testing from having the development background?
Actually, it was a little bit more difficult than I thought from a web app standpoint. Like it gave me, I had a pretty good mindset on like data flow and how things work, but I didn't really have a whole lot of network experience. And I'm even now still working through systems and stuff like that, physical, but it was still quite a learning curve, at least from a pen testing standpoint. But getting in and getting your hands dirty literally is the best way to learn it. That's about like anything really. So I was very lucky in the amount of tests that were thrown my way early on. And I was able to get one right after another to get those reps in and find new things and find new ways and new understandings of how things actually work.
Yeah, one of the things I recommend to folks a lot is if you're wanting to go into pen testing or security, sometimes going into an area that you have some familiarity with. Some cases, I talk to people that are, software QA analysts or developers and tell them sometimes it's a easier path to go into, web app pen testing opposed to network pen testing because you are kind of familiar with the way some of the things work because you have to really understand the technology before you can secure it or break it.
That's kind of where I started. I really wanted to get that larger kind of grip on pen testing, but yeah, the web app is definitely where I started looking. But I fell in love more with the network side of it. I really like helping out on networks.
So why do you like network pen testing more?
Honestly, I don't know. It's really fun to me. And I mean, I know with network pen testing, it's obviously not our exact goal to just get domain. You want to go in and you want to map everything out and you want to try and get as many things that you can get to the client so that they can better protect and secure their environment, layer mitigations and things like that. but it's fun. It really is fun just taking control of their network and their domain. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, and, that's one of the things that you really don't get too much in application pen testing is any kind of system control. You can get sensitive data and there's things you can do, but to actually get command line access or any kind of remote code execution or anything like that's very rare.
Yep. And I mean, I guess the old adage of, a hard exterior and soft gooey interior, like it's fun when you get in that soft gooey interior and kind of look around and see what's actually, see what's actually there.
As far as training, did you do any kind of training or anything to help along the way along with the hands-on experience that you're getting when you started out?
Lots of boxes, not nearly Jacob's level of boxes, but lots of boxes. I hit up hack the box all the time. I've done a lot of, I don't have my OSCP yet, but I've done a lot of OSCP boxes. A lot of just trying to get through as many potential machines as possible. But then the bigger thing, at least for me, is also staying up on things as they come out. So I have security feeds into my Slack and stuff like that constantly. So as soon as someone's posting something, I'm looking into, new breaches, new vulnerabilities, like whatever's going on to try and, stay up to date as best as possible.
Yeah, it's good because I think it's one of the biggest mistakes people do that they've been in it for a while. They kind of don't keep up with the latest trends and they kind of miss out because one of the things I saw a lot of several years ago was a lot of people that had been in it for a while that really didn't keep up and didn't learn cloud pen testing, really didn't learn cloud and kind of put them behind.
Yeah. We all kind of stagnate eventually. I mean, it's human nature. We just kind of get comfortable and we don't necessarily want to stay going 110% all the time. Sometimes you need a break and that can have effects.
Yeah, burnout could be real because I know yeah.
It definitely can be.
So as far as like AI and stuff, AI is a hot topic and we use a lot of AI internally. So have you really learned a lot on how to leverage AI during your pen test?
Not so much during pen tests. I'm more of a still hands-on manual when it comes to pen testing kind of thing. I think for me, that's more of like a client relationship kind of build with me. Like I don't, it's not a good idea to just be running AI on, your clients' networks and things like that. I will say that it is very useful from a detached standpoint. So using it as research, hey, this is the kind of thing that I'm seeing. These are the responses that I'm getting. What, look around the internet and see what's going on, or how can I get a deeper understanding of what's actually happening here? More of a augmentation rather than actual usage. Honestly, that's really where I found it most applicable, pen testing. Now, obviously, to have an AI pen tester, that's an entirely different game and is totally usable. But from a client standpoint, like I'm just not ready to start handing it off to AI.
Yeah, it's understandable. And I think it's one of the things that people that are starting out need to do as well as learn how to do it manually. Nothing against learning how to use AI to scale what you're doing. But I think sometimes people can get too reliant on automation and just kind of skip learning how to do things the manual way.
But I still consider myself a script kiddie. Like I don't really, it is just the type of person that I am, right? Like if I don't think of myself too highly, I'm always going to continue trying harder. It's kind of like the new idea of being a script kiddie for me. It's the easy button. Let's hook an eye up to some AI up to it and let it go.
Kind of still on the topic of AI, since you have a development background, what do you think of AI for using development? Have you leveraged it to do any kind of coding or scripting?
Yeah, absolutely. I've got that thing running all the time. We try so we have a number of different, applications or platforms that we're working on, here at Suzu. We'll go in depth in them, but at any given time, I think, God, I'm jumping between 4 or 5 different products that we're putting together just to amplify, what we've got going on here, to include a platform just to simply secure some of our boxes, what's going on our jump hosts and things like that. So to log sessions and record sessions automatically.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the ideal situation. Someone like yourself that has a development background. It's kind of scary when you think about people vibe coding that don't have any kind of security background or application security, any kind of development, and they're putting out this code is kind of scary because, with all these tools out there, some of these vibe coding tools, you could put something out that looks legit, but you just kind of scary to think about how secure it is.
Yeah, I find that at least for me, the best approach is, one setup, having things planned out, like, and even you can even use AI to plan the things out. Make sure you have a good plan, you have everything drawn out, designed ahead of time. But then building things, I see a lot of stuff out there where people are just talking about setting it up and letting it run like for hours or days or whatever. I like smaller chunks. I want to tell the AI, hey, this is the one little function. I have the one little function to build. And it's like, this is what I want it to do. Go do it. Make it happen. That way, and it keeps it small enough that I can go back and I can review everything that's been done and make sure that the data or the traversing of the data is still acceptable and secure and everything is working without having to go through thousands of lines of code just to figure out what it did.
Yeah. So, thinking along the lines of AI, what do you think about, because you hear all these companies that are putting out products to automate pen testing and people are worried about pen tester jobs going away. How soon do you think pen testers can be replaced by AI?
Guess it
Or do
depends
you
on
think
how
it's
good it
possible?
gets.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say it's possible. I don't think there's any job that is ever truly protected. Is funny, actually. I just saw a video not too long ago. It was referencing, the old whaling industry. It was almost overnight that whaling was shut down, once we started pumping oil and petroleum. Because I don't think there's any job that could not be taken at some point. It really comes down, I think it's going to come down to one, how good it is. Two, how the data is handled from those pen test spots, right? Like if we're talking things are going out and being sent to third parties and stuff like that, there's probably a lot of clients that aren't going to be happy with that. So it really comes down to setup and things like that to make it actually ineffective. Well, I guess it wouldn't necessarily be ineffective if it's just a data thing, but to where it's actually still secure.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting to hear, see some of those tools, because I've seen some of them. They work pretty well, but it's kind of interesting that you see some of these products, a lot of security products are created by companies that are not really necessarily a security company. They're more development, and they create these products, and I think sometimes they're lacking the offensive security mindset and the experience, because I think you take a team of really experienced offensive security professionals that know what they're doing and understand how pen testing works. I think they would develop a better tool than, say, maybe someone that's just purely development.
Well, that's what we're trying to do.
So do you have any tips for anyone that's, trying to transition out of the military into a job in cybersecurity?
Into a job in cybersecurity, hands-on. Get as much hands-on as you can. There are definitely programs that are inside the military too, but get as much experience as you can. Obviously, certifications are great. Degrees are great. Companies look at those and they want those. But a certificate is only a piece of paper. And if you can't back it up, what really good is it? So get as much hands-on as you can if you want to get into the industry, whether it be security, development, anything, right? You got to just build that experience so that you have something to bring to the plate.
Yeah, that's some great advice. And one of the things too for anyone listening is, if you have the degrees and the certifications, if you go in for a job interview and you can't answer the questions or you can't do the technical interview, it's gonna make it tough to break in. So regardless of whether you have it or not, based on my experience, what I've seen, if you have the credentials, it might help you get the interview. But unless you really paid attention and really spent your time learning the subject and not just trying to pass a certification exam, it's going to be tough come interview time.
Yeah, the technical part was always what I feared the most in interviews.
Yeah,
Not
it's
that
kind
I
of
probably should have been, but it's a scary thing. Sometimes you
it's
just
kind
don't
of
know.
yeah, it's kind of an interesting thing the way they do some of these technical interviews. I know some companies do consulting, will actually have a hands-on challenge. Here's a box, do a pen test against it, or see how far you can get and document it. As far as hiring people, I think I like those better, because, sometimes technical people aren't the most social, and sometimes they don't do really well in interview situations.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with that. The hands-on portion would definitely be a lot easier for a lot of us. Like I'm a little uncomfortable just doing this. I'm not gonna lie. but you live and learn and you figure out new skills, and here we are.
Yeah, and practice,
Yep.
doing things several times over it gets easier. I used to have a hard time with this kind of stuff, but it's come pretty easy for me now, but it was difficult to begin with. So if people put in the time and effort if they really want to do it, more likely than not, they can get there.
Yep, fully agree.
So as far as, I know we mentioned conferences earlier. So what are some of your favorite cybersecurity conferences?
So I've only ever been to a few. That being said, I am a huge fan of Black Hat and DEF CON. DEF CON more. Black Hat's really good. It's just outside of I would say, a lot of the learning stuff. It's very corporate. You know, the expo is very corporate. DEF CON is more of a community thing, and it tends to be fun. People are there to exchange ideas and have a good time and really try to push forward the community into a positive aspect. So DEF CON is absolutely one of my favorite. I'd like to get out to RSA one day. Being out here on the West Coast now, hopefully that's in the future. But at the same time, DEF CON's my DEF CON.
So what other conferences are on your list? I know one of the ones you should check out is Wild West Hacking Fest.
Wild West Hacking Fest. Can't remember if Mike might have been to that one before. And I want to say the first time he talked about it, I was like, I have to. Is that the way it's in North or South Dakota?
Deadwood.
Deadwood. Yeah, it's in Deadwood.
Yeah.
Yeah, just being able to go to Deadwood would be amazing. I'd love to go up there.
Yeah, actually gave him my ticket there last year.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh,
because
that's
I was just
interesting.
joining and had time off and really didn't feel like it could take too much more time off. So I
I'd
gave
love
him
to
my
check
ticket.
out some of yours that you got going on.
Yeah, so so the one I'm doing is coming up next month, May 27th in Dallas Fort Worth area. So it should be fun. It's the first year doing it. Jason Haddix is my opening keynote. Got Tim Medine, the creator of Curb Roasting. He's one of the invited speakers. Justin Hutchins is speaking. Marcus Carey is also speaking. He's the co-author of the Tribe of Hackers books.
It sounds like it's going to be really good.
Yeah, so we even have an AI CTF as well. Justin Hutchins is doing the CTF, and it's going to be an AI CTF.
I think the Space Comp really good too.
Yeah, that one's a lot of fun. That's really the one that really kind of inspired me to do my conference, because right after Hack Space Con last year, I thought I want to do a hacker conference, because in the Dallas Fort Worth area, we have a lot of CISO and management type conferences, but you also have like some of these that are more vendor or management oriented. That's really not good for people that are trying to learn technical and hands-on type stuff. Saw the need for that. We had our B-sides, but that was the only really technical conference we had each year, and we just needed something like some of these other hacker conferences.
I haven't been to a B-Sides in a while. We checked one out here in Vegas a few years ago, but haven't been back.
Oh yeah, B-Sides Vegas. I've been to that one several times. There's some really good ones, and that's another thing too. You ever get a chance to go to RSA? B-Sides San Francisco is one of my favorite B-Sides conferences.
Have to check it out.
Because it's out there routinely. You've got people like Jason Haddix speaking there and being in that area. One year, the first year I went in 2019, they had the founder of Yubico doing a talk on passwordless authentication. So there's usually some really good content there, and the villages are really good for B-sides as well.
Yeah, I'll have to get out there.
So we're getting down towards the end of the episode. Is there anything you'd like to share before we close it out?
I don't know. What do you think everybody wants to hear?
I don't know, any kind of advice you have or encouragement, words of encouragement?
Don't stop. If it's what you want, if you really want to get into this line of work, don't stop. Like the sky is the limit. It's only going to keep growing. No matter what anybody tells you, tech's not going away. Security is always going to be present. Keep working. You'll get there.
Great advice. Yeah, and I think, people are worried about AI, and one of the things I think is people learn to use AI in their workflow, because one of my favorite quotes is, you won't be replaced by AI, but you'll be replaced by someone that uses AI.
That's a good one. No, I like that.
Well, I appreciate you taking time in your busy schedule to join me today.
Absolutely, man. Anytime.
Thanks everyone for watching, and we'll see you in the next episode. Make sure to subscribe and share with your friends. And until next time, take care.